Right. So this presentation is about InforOS lessons learned. And then the subtitle of it is 5 Things to Prepare for InforOS. I'll start with the lessons learned. Over the last year or so, as JK Seva consultants have attended tech ed sessions, both here and in Europe, and as we've been encouraged by various Infor practice managers to get a jump on InforOS, I've been diving in learning as much as I can about InforOS. During my self-learning process, I actually attended many webinars, both by Infor and by other partners. I'll get to the lessons learned after I address one topic that every single presentation I've ever been a part of seems to start with before they actually get into InforOS. So I'm going to make it as brief as possible, but you can see here on the screen that it's really in regards to LDAP and moving to LDAPS. And so here's the, sorry, I'm going to close that down here. I'm going to jump to the notice. And so the notice itself was from February of 2020 of this year. And they said that for this one Microsoft product, it's a requirement to move to the secure LDAP. And I put at the bottom of this, you'll see it outlined in red, but I'm not going to read that part. You can read that while I'm talking. In the notification, Infor does refer to a knowledge base article. It's listed there, 2111967. So in order to support customers, we jumped in, JK Seva jumped in, and started to move customers and figure out how to move customers to LDAPS. And that article talks a lot about it. Now, moving to LDAPS is only required if you're using Microsoft's Active Directory Lightweight Directory Services, or ADLDS. So if you're using IBM's Tivoli Directory Services or the newer release Security Directory Services, this is not actually required, but it is recommended. So that being said, please don't tune me out until you hear why. It's true that the move to LDAPS with either ADLDS or with TDS or SDS can take less than an hour. Every presentation I've been to, they said it's quick, it's easy, and in reality, it is. And all non-Lawson or non-Infor products, the smoke tests work great, but we can't leave it there. We learned that the Infor Lawson Security Engine, we all know of as LASE or Lawson Security Engine or LASE, people just say it like that, makes the process take several more hours. So again, I'm going to keep this short so we can jump right into the InforOS lessons learned. But just a summary, LASE, when it learns that the connection is a secure connection, LDAPS, it converts the server name or the LDAPS name, whether it's a host name or a DNS name, to an IP address. Then it attempts to find that IP address as a subject alternative in the trust store. Well, as you can imagine, LASE won't find the IP address since a standard certificate actually can't contain an IP address. So then you contact the external certificate authority company that provided your other certificates, and they won't create a certificate with an IP address in it. So now you're stuck to figure out, how do I get a certificate in my trust store that has an IP address in it? So this may have changed again since the last few times we've done this. I don't believe so, since we've upgraded to the latest versions of the Lawson Infor products, and it's still the same thing. But again, as far as I know, this hasn't changed. So you'll need to contact us for more information on this. And yes, we do have a solution. Again, if you know something different than what we've spent weeks working with Infor support on, to try to figure out how to make this work, and they said, yeah, the documentation is lacking that one piece. And so this session is called Lessons Learned. This is one of the lessons we've learned. So the configuration ongoing can take anywhere from another week to several months or even a year. We'll talk about that in our tips. Again, InforOS can be very basic or it can be very complex. It's really up to you. I'm going to jump right into the 5 tips. I'm watching the clock here. We don't have a lot of time left, so I'm going to move through these pretty quick so that we do have some time for questions. I will make sure you know, type your questions in the chat window. We've got Sarah Swanson or Emily Fisk are going to be in here watching these. I'm going to ask those questions if you have them. All right, 5 tips for preparing for InforOS. First one. Right now, you have an opportunity. So if you've been around Lawson, the Lawson Infor world for any time, you know that for the most part, the products are several, one or even several technology releases behind the rest of the world. So I totally understand there are hundreds, maybe even thousands of things to be tested when moving up from Windows Server 2008, 2012, all the way up to 2016 and 2019. There's a lot of things that have to be done on the Windows side. Moving on the AIX side from 7.1 to 7.2, and as AIX progresses, even in the Linux world, there's a lot to be tested. I imagine it can be daunting. So I remember years ago when the Lawson products were not supported on virtual systems, and nobody actually really cared that. They just installed them anyway. I remember when clients moved to newer releases of Oracle and SQL Server before they were approved by Lawson and now Infor to move to. I've done many installs on newer technology before it was ready for general availability, and almost every time the product worked, the product functioned exactly as designed. So with InforOS, you don't have to worry about this. It's already running on the latest technology. So now, with the need to get away from technology that it has itself gone into extended maintenance and into virtual servers, whether you have them in-house, remotely hosted, Amazon Web Services, Google, Azure, VMware, VBox, Hyper-V, and many others, you can finally start to plan your move forward to new technology. Another tip, get all of this stuff that you have out there that's sitting around on your servers upgraded to the latest version, and make sure they're all on ADFS and ready to move forward. So we have let me look through. I'm sorry, looking through my notes. Take that time you have if you've got technology that's still running on the Windows Server 2008 to lift and shift this to the latest technology and the latest Lawson core technology, latest landmark technology. We've done this for clients more times than I can even count. We've even written programs to migrate the landmark IPA data from version 10 to 11, since you can't do an in-place upgrade to version 11 on Windows Server 2008. You have to do a new install on newer technology, then migrate the data. We performed hundreds of resource manager and gen migrations to make sure that a lift and shift, even on a different platform technology, is smooth and seamless. So it's possible. And a whole lot more cost effective than you'd think to do a lift and shift to new technology. So join us for our last session of the day to talk about hosting and managed services that we do at JK Seva, and to learn what other options you may have, or reach out to us directly. In a nutshell, I'd recommend taking the time now to get everything updated. I'm going to move even quicker through these next few items. Plan ahead. Make sure you've got time to plan out what you want InforOS to look like. Like I said, you can do a very basic replacement for Infor Mingle 11, Infor Federation Services, with a few items on the screen. And you can also make this a complete organization platform, but plan ahead. Don't just jump in and start designing and throwing things out there, because it's going to just be a bit overwhelming. So my recommendation for the next one says, start out small and then go live with it. Then build on that foundation. So as you put your plan together, just plan on this basics. Plan on just a replacement for Infor Mingle 11 and for IFS 11, and if you're using document management and ION, the replacement for that, and then start to build on the many aspects that you can within InforOS. And then know what you're getting into. I put this here because our marketing and salespeople said I had to have 5 tips, and so they put it out there, and I had to have 5 tips, and it's on the announcement, it's on everything that went out there, and I didn't have 5 tips. So you know, I bought this thinking maybe I could think of another one, but what I came up with for the 5th tip is when you're jumping into the products that are being offered by Infor, know what it is you're getting a hold of and use it to its full capability. And so for now, and so we have a few more minutes left for question and answer. I'm going to jump forward here. I think Emily is going to take it from here. Is that true?
Yes, it is. All right, thanks, Todd, for the presentation. We're going to transition over into the Q&A, so submit your questions if you have any more. But we will get started. First question is, how does it work if we have some products on-prem and some in Infor Cloud?
Emily, thank you. That's a really good question. I do need to say I don't have direct experience with that. However, this is lessons learned, so I tell you what I've learned from others. My learning from others is doesn't work all that great, and so it was either all in the Infor Cloud or all on-prem. And again, the on-premises consists of hosted environments as well, since they're tied together a little differently. And so what I found, what I've learned, is that it's really a firewall issue. It's getting the data to talk back and forth between the Infor Cloud and your own on-prem products. That's what I found.
Awesome. Okay. Next question. I've heard we can use InforOS as STS instead of ADFS. Can you talk a little about that?
Oh, sure, I can. Yeah, that's a good one, because when we first jumped into this, we were trying to figure out how to make that work. In the presentations that I went to, it was a big topic. Nobody ever talked about how it could be done, just that it was a thing that could be done. And then diving into the documentation and then implementing the product, it's required to have ADFS installed before you can install InforOS. And so it's already there, so it's not a direct replacement for it, but well, and at the same time, some of the other products that are out there aren't quite supporting the InforOS as STS, and so they're not quite there yet. But once InforOS is installed and up and running, there's actually a way you can switch it over to use InforOS as the security token services instead of ADFS. Haven't clicked that button yet, haven't done it, but looking forward to it.
Awesome. Okay, and then another question, does InforOS cover ISS as well?
There's a user provisioning through the ION BODs inside InforOS, but it doesn't have embedded into what we call ISS, or the Infor Security Services. However, you can simply add that application into your list of applications in InforOS, and it pops up the screen just like you would see it on any other browser.
Awesome.
I think we're getting ready to wrap up here. Are there more? Because this went much faster than I thought it was going to go.
I don't think that we have any more.
All right, so Emily, how about this? Since we want to let people get onto their other sessions that they're going to need to get to, do you want to go ahead and just wrap it up real quick?
Absolutely. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I would like to invite you to look us up on our LinkedIn and other social media platforms. Someone did ask where they could access the recording. We will be making it available soon on our website at jkseva.com. It will also be uploaded to our YouTube page at jkseva Inc. All right. If you have any additional questions, we'll be in our booth for the rest of the day. Feel free to stop by. Or you can email any more questions to Beth Wallace, who is our Director of Business Development. Her email address is bwallace@jkseva.com. We hope that our presentation was helpful and we were able to answer all of your questions, and have a great rest of your day.
Great. Thanks everyone for attending. I'll see you at the next session.